Hi, thank you so much for taking the time to do this interview. Could you please introduce yourself and talk a little bit about what you do?
Sure. I'm Chandler, and I'm a fixed-wing first officer for Lifeflight of Maine. We have a Beechcraft King Air, a B-200, and it requires 2 pilots, and I am the second pilot. So a first officer is the second in command, and the pilot next to me is the captain, and he is the pilot in command.
In school, did you think that math would matter in your career?
Yes, yeah, I did. I did aerospace in college, so my degree was professional pilot, but I also did another degree in chemistry. I couldn't decide which one I wanted to do, so I did a lot of math for both of those.
Were you good at math?
I don't know. I was better at, like the pilot classes didn't have much math, but like the chemistry classes did, so I was like good enough to get by. But I liked it okay enough.
How do you use math in your work now?
So in my job now, we have a very sophisticated computer system that does a lot of the math for us, that does our time en route calculations, that does our fuel calculations, that does our, like how long do we have en route, our estimated time en route, our estimated time of arrival, how much fuel will we burn when we get there. And so some of the math we do beforehand, like calculating weight and balance. If we were all going to go fly on our airplane right now, that would be something that we can do either by hand, but we also have another software that does that for us. But the actual aircraft itself has what's called a Garmin G1000, and it takes care of a lot of the math for us.
So you talked a little bit about those tools and that technology software stuff. Is there anything that you use that still requires you to understand the math behind it?
Definitely, yeah. So when you are learning how to fly, you usually don't start in an airplane like what we have. And so there's a lot of just fundamentals that you have to learn of what does this altitude mean versus that altitude? How high are you above the ground, or how high are you above sea level? And what do these calculations mean for you in regard to your airspeed? So how fast you're going through the air, your true airspeed, or over the ground, your ground speed. So these are calculations that we still do today, I think about today. The computer does them mostly for us, but like I said, when I'm teaching you how to fly from the very beginning, these would be things I would teach you how to use on something called an E6B, is like an analog tool used to do all these different kinds of calculations. But like I've been saying, we have a computer that does them for us now.
Oh, if you could go back, what skills do you wish you'd paid more attention to or had been offered in school?
I wish I had paid a little bit more attention to 4th grade subtraction. I know, it's like really specific. But now now we just use a computer. We just use a calculator. And like obviously all the math we do for flying, like the computers help us and we can do it by hand too, it just takes more time. But I wish I had focused a little bit more on learning the material instead of trying to pass the class. Like, I mean, we've all taken math from kindergarten, 1st grade? Like we take it literally every year. And for so long, the focus was just like pass the class, pass geometry, pass algebra 2. Don't really need to understand it. You'll just pass the class, right? And now, like in my job, I'm not really doing pre-cal. I'm not doing calculus 1 or 2. In my job, if I had gone the route of a chemist, I probably would have. But as a pilot, I can't say that I would use calculus on my day-to-day. It definitely might come up in like an aerospace engineering application, but as a regular line pilot, like what I do here, it doesn't really come up that much.
If you had one piece of advice for students today, what would it be?
Kind of like what I was saying earlier, I think it's still important to apply yourself and to learn the material and to focus to make it through the classes, because like I said, you never really know when math applications will come up randomly in your life. Like I said, doing taxes or making your budget, it really does sound silly, but when you're like in the real world and there are real world applications outside your job, it's still important to understand the fundamentals.
If you had one piece of advice for teachers today, what would it be?
For teachers teaching math?
Yeah.
I would say to encourage your students as best you can with the real world application. So I mean that like I wish I had spent more time in high school. Like, there's so many things I wish they had taught me in high school that we focus so much on the little things, like in pre-cal, because they were trying to prepare us for calculus 1 and 2. And I'm like, but actually, how is this ever going to apply to me? And so I think the application part is really important for teachers. So that way, like I've been saying, you can use this as a tool to carry on for the rest of your life. It's not just like something you use to pass the class.
Awesome. Thank you for your time today.